Well, good morning, everyone out there in the flight simming world. This is Flying with Mike, and I welcome you aboard a flight from Mid America Airport to Punta Gorda, Florida. Mid America Airport's located near St. Louis, Punta Gorda, north side of Fort Myers. So, flying in an airline called Allegiant, they do a lot of low fare flying to airports that aren't heavily utilized so they can get in, get out better than if they went into, say, uh, Fort Myers or um, St. Louis International. So they utilize the cost effectiveness of that and the fact that they can get in, get out a lot quicker. So we are, without further ado, taking a look at the MD82, which is the aircraft of choice today. Granted, these routes are now flown by Airbuses. Don't have any Airbuses in the corral, so we're going to have to pull out what they used to fly. And they used to break quite a bit, these MD80s, but they've replaced them all with A320s and A319s. Up here, and let's get into the pre-flight, and then we'll get into the cockpit. All right, so looking at the sim toolkit, I've got it brought up on the live map, zoomed in, so you can kind of get a lay of the land here at Mid-America. More importantly, since most of you have probably never heard of it, I'm going to zoom it slightly out. Those of you that are military aviation buffs may know this half of the airfield. This is Scott Air Force Base, home to Transcom and Air Mobility Command. And if you go back as far as I do, it would have been called the Mobility Air Command, MAC. So that's here. And then there's this long taxiway gulf that stretches all the way from their main ramp over to Kilo and onto the golf ramp here at Mid-America. By chance, just so you know, I work right there, Firehouse. So just so you all know, this is the airport that I actually work from. We get flights all the time in here from Allegiant. Punta Gorda, we get a couple times a week. Sanford, and a few others. So, but yeah, I just wanted to give you the lay of the land. We're on the terminal ramp here at gate number 4, which is actually showing up as gate number 2 in X-plane. Whatever. All right, so moving on. Let's get into the pre-flight here. Here's our routing. We're going to be using 14 left. We're going to depart, go direct to Centralia, which is Echo November Lima, to Birmingham, which is Victor Uniform Zulu, to Acorny. Get on the Quebec 104 airway, take that all the way to Papa India Echo, which is St. Petersburg. And then we're going to go to Sabi, and they have us on the Victor 35. I've got us direct. So we're planning runway 4 there. The ILS if need be, visual otherwise. So loadout here today. We got 160 people on board, 38,800 pounds of payload, giving us a ramp weight of 143,388 pounds. That factors in our fuel load, which is 26,045. We are all loaded up, but we'll verify that here momentarily. Flight level today, 13,000. I'm sorry, 13,000. How about 33,000? Wow. Gonna have to get my eyeballs looked at. And then they're saying over St. Pete we should drop to 17. We'll see. We should probably be pretty close to top of descent anyway. But when we do our arrival brief, we'll get an idea if that's what we're going to do or not. So, Mid-America Airport, 14 left is a 10,000 foot runway, heading 139, and like all North American airports, transitions at 18,000. So we're looking at 838 miles today for the trip, 740 by air. Here's our breakdown for fuel, and when we get on the ground, if we divert to our alternate being Orlando, otherwise known as Mickey World, we should have 4,500 pounds of fuel in the tanks to meet our 45-minute requirement. So again, we're blocking out with 2605, and I know the terminal service guys have got us loaded up already. One more look at our flight plan, and we are looking at a 2.5-hour flight. So just to give you an idea. And finally, here's the breakdown: 160 people, 2,000 pounds of cargo, for a total of 38.8 on the payload. 26.0 in the tank, so we are almost ready to get in there and get things rolling. And I will warn you, I have done a lot of this ahead of time, trying to get us out by 9:55 or 15:55 for those of you on the Zulu time. Okay, so here's our route, just to give it to you. Here's Scott Air Force Base, Mid-America, going to Punta Gorda outside of Fort Myers. There's our alternate Mickey World. Now, significant weather. We got a couple of jets playing in across us. It's actually kind of going to be a warm day here in St. Louis, probably in the upper 40s, low 50s, before the temperature crashes out. Of course, I have to work tomorrow and work on flights, so you know that had to happen. So as long as that other 4-letter word that starts with S and ends in now, as long as that stays away, we're always good. So we have turbulence up to 43,000 feet, so we'll contend with that as we work our way down towards Fort Myers. 18,000, you kind of getting a feel for how the winds are. They're pretty zonal at this altitude, meaning east to west. Actually, west to east, my bad. Up at flight level 30, which is pretty close to where we'll be. Again, a little stronger, however, west to east flow. And finally, we'll be at 33,000, so this is pretty close to what we'll contend with. Pretty much a quartering, slightly tailwind all the way down. But again, pretty zonal for this time of the year. Finally, here's the vertical breakdown. The Appalachian Mountains are what's here, so you can kind of see east to west, or west to east. Alright folks, so that's going to wrap up our pre-flight here. Weather here at Mid-America we'll get into. Oh, no METAR. Go figure that one. Wonder why. Wow, interesting. We'll come back to that. But it was 210 at 10 last I checked, I believe. So we will indubitably try to make sure that is still the same. We're now in the cockpit, and I'm going to go ahead and get us one step closer, get this window closed. Did some test flying yesterday to find out why the plane wasn't intercepting localizers. I think I've got it figured out. We'll find out if we did today. But we've already loaded up. Well, first off, before we get to that step, let's recap what's been done to date. Okay, real quick, go through this so y'all are on page with me. Okay, so we got on the plane, we turned the battery switch on. Here, let me switch out like this so it's easier to see it. So we got the battery switch here turned on. We then went on external power briefly, which is this switch right here. Once we were on external power, we fired up the APU, and we are now on APU. We've got the start pump on and the galley power on. Cargo doors are just about ready to close up. And checklist wise, it goes like this. So the battery switch would go on, the external power we connect, left and right power to the bus. And again, that would be these two switches here. Very similar to this. This would say external power. Once they're on the bus, we can then turn the start pump on, which I'm going to go ahead and turn off now, and then crank up the APU. Now the APU master switch here, we'll zero in so you can see it better. That is this switch right here. 2 clicks with the arrow pointing down. Watch the gauge here. Once it comes up into the green, APU becomes available. We can then click the two switches to put them on the bus. Again, one click down puts them on the bus, and then we'll, on the AC bus, put it to auto. Okay, that takes care of walking into the cargo bay, and I've got the cargo doors open still. Then we turn the APU air to on. Galley switch is right here to on. Emergency lights, we can't do anything with that switch. In the default, those of you with rotate, a lot of this checklist may actually work for you. No smoking, which is down here, one click down. Now we're not going to turn on the pitot heat just yet, because first officer is doing his walk around. I'd rather him not burn his hands touching that. Left and right anti-ice, we'll turn those on if we need to once the engines are started. We did a stall test, which is here. You just move it down. You heard it. Mock test is right next to it, and I can't hear it, so I don't know if it's doing anything or not. Okay, finally, we do a fire alarm check. Now the fire bottles are right here, or T-handles are right here and here. Let me zoom in, come down a little. So you're going to do a loop A test and a loop B test. Just push the buttons.
Fire engine. Fire engine.
And there's your loop test. Now, yaw damper is told to go on. We'll turn it on. We'll see if that works. Usually I end up turning it off till we're airborne. Just the way yaw dampers and flight sims just don't seem to want to play nice together. And then we filed our flight plan. So now what we do there is we come down and we bring this up. Now, when you come into the aircraft, it looks like this. Okay, so simply click Route Menu. Now, if you took the flight plan, loaded it to the, what is it, resources? Anyway, to X-plane, company route list would be here. There's all the ones that I've sent over. If you're going to do it, then you go here, click F-plan, put in Kblv. Wait a minute. Why did that switch? Kpdg. Let me see if our flight... That is really bizarre. Huh. I just did this before coming online, and I'm like, why is that changed? Okay, so there's Punta Gorda, there's Mid-America. I made up a number. I forget the number for the flight that comes out of Mid-America every so often. Anyway, next page, we're going direct ENL, and then you just verify your flight plan. And cruise 33,000, we're good to go. Alright, so we'll keep that on legs for now. I've got the other one on the co-pilot side set up for the climb side. We're ready to go there. Next up, we got our air conditioning all set up in the plane so we can start boarding once they're done fueling. They're at auto. And cockpit and cabin temperatures are at auto as well. Alright, so from here, that's where we left off. Well, actually, I have most of this set up. The flight directors are on. The speed and Mach are set. V2 plus 10. So let me go through real quickly our V speeds for today. We're going 133. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Let me scroll down. I'm getting wrong numbers already. 138 for V1. That's our reject speed maximum. 143 rotate. Obviously, that's when we pull the nose up. V2 is 150. That's what speed's got to be able to clear 50 feet at the very end of the runway. Okay, so we got those dialed in. Now, what I do is V2 plus 10 for all of my settings for climb speeds. I don't even get into V2 plus 5. I want a little bit more speed. And let me correct this. Okay, got our heading set now. There's our cruise altitude. Flight directors are set. And VHF, that's Centralia, which is Echo November Lima. We're not going to worry about the cruise so much. And let's get up top here. Probes are on steady. Altimeter has not been set yet, and I'm going to be kind of curious how we're going to do this. Hang on a second. Just going to try one more time. Oh boy. Okay, we'll go one other way that I know will work. Bear with me, I'm just firing up Top Cat on the other program. I wasn't expecting to. I don't care what the plane is. Okay, Kblv. Okay, so we are still 210 at 10. Clear sky 5 degrees Celsius, 5 degrees minus 5. Dew point on the Celsius side 30-20. Okay. Alright, and field elevation. That seems high. That's why I want to look. It is very high. So, gonna set closer to field elevation. So we're pretty close to 2.9 instead of what's showing here. So hopefully the winds really are what they're saying or have been saying. But we will find out here short. Welcome aboard Bob's Gaming Time. Hope you are having a great day as well. We're just about ready to button up the MD80 and head to Fort Myers. Okay, so that's closer, much better on the altitude. We'll go with that for the altimeter. Okay, so and yes, we are doing great here. As soon as we get things rolling here, let me pull up my checklist. All right, so we are set and ready to go. We're going to do the departure brief real quick, and we're going to get this bird on the way. We may actually get out of here on time. How about that? All right, so for the departure brief, let's get back to the live map. Okay, so here we are with Sim Toolkit. Let me zoom down to show you that again. See how it shows Kilo 1, 4, well actually we're a little high to show those. Kilo 4, Golf, and on down. But again, we're going to taxi out to Kilo, come down to Kilo 1 and take off. And again, any radar returns you see here are false. We'll give it one more try, see if Mid-America's got their weather reporting coming up. Maybe not. There we go. Nope, no METAR. Alright, so, and finally, not Sky Vector, we want NavGraph. Same chart, except now it's a chart. Here's our frequencies across the top, and we'll taxi down Golf to Kilo, or Kilo to Kilo 1, out on 1-4 left. We'll be pretty much at about 4 or 5, between 400 and 1,000, making that turn to go direct Centralia. Alright, so let's move all of this out here and get back into the cockpit, and let's get into the before start checklist. Okay, now for before start, we got to make sure all the doors and hatches are closed. Well, we closed our window already. That side's closed. That side's closed. Looking out the plane. Okay, we've got some stuff to take care of there. Let's get the rear hatch up first. Okay, let's make sure it came up. Those of you that were with us on the last flight with the MD80, I mentioned the DB Cooper switch that's been put in place. If not, that video is still available, and it's at YouTube too. All right, we got the main door closed. Let's get back into the cockpit, continuing the before start. Gate removed. Fuel levers off. Fuel levers are these two guys right here, these two black levers. VHF comms are set. Transponder going to is set. Crossfeed valves left and right, that's these guys, set and on. FMS set. Hydraulic pump on. We only have one switch that works here. Like I said, rotate, check with their checklist. These may actually all work. I don't know. GPU's direct is disconnected. The before start checklist is complete. Alright, so let's move into push and start. And for that, let's set up better pushback, which will go here. Let me try that again. I don't like it when it comes up already set. Okay, there we go.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
All right, folks, so let's go through the checklist here real quick. Crossfeeds again were verified, they're open. Push clearance has been obtained. Hang on, plug-ins.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is trotting up.
So what we're going to do, turn on the anti-collision. Now, anti-collision on this plane, that is just the red beacons. The strobes that are out on the wingtips, that's right here. Right now it's on position lights, which are your red greens on the tail, on the wingtips. We go to both, it turns the strobes on. Here comes the pushback. And then we're just waiting for the pushback to start. Now, to start this plane, we're going to go right into that. So while we're waiting on him, it's a little tricky. I like to use the main W key in X-Plane to get us to a little bit bigger visual here. We're going to, first off,
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
we're going to turn off the air conditioning. Basically, we're just trying to make sure we have enough pressure. We have fuel in the center. Now we'll turn the pitot heat on. Okay. Well, we'll just show it to you. Make sure the APU bleed is on. We had a whale of a time yesterday getting her started. We had just about everything wrong. One last check, the pneumatics are up. Okay, they have to be up, folks, or she won't start.
Tow connected and bypassed and inserted. Release parking brake.
Your parking brake is located on your tiller. Tiller is located by each pilot's knee by the side of the plane. So on the captain's left knee, first officer right knee. Push the button down.
Starting pushback. And you may start engines.
Alright, so here we go. APU's on, APU bleed is on, supply is off, ignition, A, and here we go. Basically, we're watching the bottom dial So I can't show it to you right now. I'll show it to you once we start the second one. But it's dialing up. Once it hits 20, I actually take it up to 21. There's 20, 21, and we're going to come down. Fuel switch on. This is the dial I was talking about. It's spooling up. Okay, it looks like we have a good light off on this one. Okay, good. I could not get a good light off to kill me yesterday. It was so hard. All I wanted to do was some checks as to, you know, so if we have to go instrument today, we can do without having to turn it off. All right, so we got one engine on. And we got the gens on.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Let's go ahead and do that, so that way he can start doing his thing.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Alright, so let's get number 2 going. Alright, so what we're watching is this dial right here. That's N2 as it spools up. And you can see it now starting to move. Now we're at 10. There's 15, 18, there's 21. There they go. Let's make sure we go into the 40s again. Okay. And there you go, letting you know that we are spooled up. Alright, so we are now started, folks. Again, the process is a little more complicated with these older aircraft, but you basically pull the switch down.
Hose disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
And thanks for flying with Mike. Alright, so again, he was interrupting us. We'll pull the switch down, hold it until we reach 20 on our lower dials right here, depending which one. Once we hit 20, you can then come down, move the fuel switch up. Alright, pretty simple start procedure. Little more complicated than most of y'all are used to. The after start checklist. Okay, now for the after start checklist, we're going to first make the ignition. Let's get this so we're making sure we're hitting the right switches to off. Air conditioning can now go back to auto. Left and right protection as needed. Oh, that's your de-ice. Fuel heat does not work on the default, may work on rotate. Auto brakes, we can set those now. Let's get the, first off I skipped a step, flaps. So, let me just go ahead and see if I can. Okay, so we're set at 15. Auto brakes are all the way at the bottom here. Reject. Okay. Again, make sure these stay up. Alright. Flight controls. And nose lights, and then we're taxi complete. So, let's come back down here to 4. We're going to just do this. I try to keep the controls not here, so we're going to go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, and right. Up, down, up, down, up. Now the rudders, left. Now I'm watching the tiller so that it fully completes around. Okay, we are free. Alright, flight controls check, nose light. Okay, and folks, taxi checklist is complete. Let's take a look outside the aircraft. Oh, you see what I forgot? Ha! How about that one? And they're all closed. Alright folks, we are going to start our taxi. And to 1-4 left takes a little bit, so let's get moving here. And we are just 2 minutes late, folks. Not bad. I'm quite happy. 2 minutes late, not bad. Actually pushed back on time. Alright, and here we go, folks. Okay, we are clear of the ATS guys. And let's head out on Kilo 4 for Kilo. And again, folks, this is my home airport. I work here at this airport in public safety and work the flights like all of us do there, which hopefully will increase. Hang on a second, folks. Okay. I was stupid again. Hey, go figure what I did, folks. I did not get things turned online. We're now in pre-flight. Alright, so we are taxiing again. And we'll see you at the end of the runway. And if folks you're wanting to fly along with Mike, we are on VATSIM at the current time. We'll see how air traffic behaves. If it comes up, we may go offline because where we're going to be flying, I don't want to be a problem for them and I don't want them to be a problem for me. So we'll see. I am trying to get on POSCON, but well, we're still waiting, like a lot of people. Okay, so we are coming up to the end of the runway. Alright folks, welcome back. We've got a before takeoff checklist to run here real quick. As soon as we round the corner here, we'll hold short and run through that check real quick. Not a whole bunch. And we'll get into the takeoff here. Okay. Alright, so for the before takeoff checklist, I just need to, there we go. Warning lights checked, fasten seatbelt sign. Let's make sure that's on. It wasn't. Landing lights will go on the runway. We'll put the strobe lights on now. So we are cleared for takeoff. Annunciator panel check. Takeoff brief completed. Again, V1 138, V rotate 145, 150. This is V2. We'll climb out at 160. Okay, so now we can turn the APU off. So first thing we want to do though, come off the gens, turn off the air, and then we just simply up the switch, watch it spool down. APU is off. Crossfeed valves, making sure they're still on, and they are. And we're going to select override. And flaps between 15 and 20. Alright folks, that wraps up the before takeoff checklist. What we're going to do is taxi out onto the runway for the takeoff. Set takeoff thrust. They say to set the auto throttle at 80 knots, cross check V1, rotate, positive rate, gear up, adjust pitch, and climb at best rate of climb. Then we'll get to the after takeoff checklist once airborne. Right folks, so here we go. Okay. And we're coming out to take the runway. We'll use as much of it as we can. Okay, folks. Landing lights on. Let's get a nice picture of it on the runway. Alright folks, we are cleared for takeoff. Mid-America Airport traffic, Mac Air 572 departing 14 left, direct Centralia. Airspeed alive. There's 80 knots.
V1.
Rotate.
Rotate. V2.
Positive rate. Gear up.
Gear up.
Okay. And like I said, these guys don't stick around long.
$2,500.
All right. This is the part of this plane I don't really like. Alright, now we finally got her climbing. I tell you, that's the one part of this plane I really don't like. Okay, well, we finally got her climbing. Okay, and folks, we are now airborne. After takeoff checklist, above 400 feet, set roll. After 1,000 feet, nose up to 10. Autopilot A on. That's what we're set on. Auto throttle on. Accelerate. Retract flaps on schedule. Ignition switch to off. Okay. Auto brake to off. It is. And they're saying to turn the hydraulic pumps off. We'll leave those on. And that, folks, completes the after takeoff checklist. Okay, so what we have next is at 10,000 feet, we go to 310 knots. And we'll turn the no smoking, which in this case would be electronics, to off. And we'll make sure the runway lights are off, and transition altitude will go to 29902. Alright, so here we go again. don't know why this thing is so temperamental today. Probably something I'm doing. Anyway, we're on our way. We're climbing through 7,000. We should be well through 10,000 by now. Okay, coming up on 9,000. We're going to go ahead and get the landing lights off here. All right, so
feet.
there's 310 set. That should help to let it accelerate. Landing lights are up. All right, folks, we are on our way to Birmingham now, Alabama. Okay, there's 310. All right, we are on our way, folks. Rest of this, all we have is transition altitude 2992. We'll set the bank angle now to 15. I think is actually there. And radar cruise checklist complete. Well, hello, Mr. Italian Controller. Welcome to the channel. We thank you. I'm just quiet right now while my wife is on the phone. Just wanted to let you know that I see you here in the chat. Wanted to reach out and say hi, so I'm just going to go back quiet so she can talk work on her end. Alright folks, I'm back. Alright, let's get into that arrival brief. I had to use the restroom there, so I apologize. We'll get this out of the way. There's not much to it. Alright, there's Sim Toolkit. Alright, looking at it, you can see we're out here over the Gulf heading towards Tampa. So really all we have for the brief is the ILS in here. There are no arrivals for Punta Gorda. So we're going to come in heading for ZPEG, take the ILS. Alright, so top of the strip here is all of our frequencies. Localizers 109.75, identified by India, Papa Golf Delta. Localizer heading 035. Now SPEC'S, which is 6.2 DME, 1600 feet. We should be on the glide slope at that point. Decision altitude 224 is conditional, 200 feet. And our airport elevation is 26 feet with the touchdown zone at 24 feet above sea level. Missed approach, climbed to 500 feet, then in a right climbing turn, continue to 2000 on a heading of 040 to the peak. On the radial 059 off Punta Gorda's VOR to Jocks intersection. You can see that right here, folks. And hold until directed by ATC. Transition levels and altitudes are 18,000, and like I said, we're going to come into ZPEG, SPEC'S, ISOCs in. Here you are getting a more visual. Again, 1,600 feet here, we're 6.2 miles out. So we'll see. What are we expecting on the arrival? Now this actually was wrong at Mid-America Airport with Export. So we'll throw it out there. That's the first time I've seen it wrong. Pappies will be on the left side. Reels for the approach. And again, here's your pictures. Climb 500 feet, right turn, 040 heading out to, hang on a second, Jocks. Once we're on the ground, we'll try to come off at A2. More than likely we'll use the runway. Come back on Alpha to Charlie to the ramp. Alright folks, that pretty much wraps it up. VREF for the day. Hang on a second. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. And the VREF for the day will be 138. So, back into the cockpit we go. Let's get this dialed up real quick. Put the Gorda, ILS4. Execute legs. Hang on a second, let me see where that is on the map real quick. Works for me, perfect. Okay. And we'll go there, execute. Alright, there we go, folks. We're dialed up, ready to go. See what kind of changes. 84 miles. Let's run the descent checklist here real quick. Approach briefing. We've done. Seatbelts. 2 on. Alternate at the transition altitude. We'll set the local altimeter, and the hydraulic pumps are on. Any windshield anti-fog is still on, and that's all before 10,000 feet. Okay. Okay, so we'll get that turned down here as we move our way into the descent phase. Okay, so we're working our way in here at about 40 miles out on the top of descent. We'll go ahead and start it. Okay, we've set the altitude. We're now 45 miles out from top of descent. Like I said, just as soon as we cross 40, I'm going to go ahead and set the descent. Okay, we're past that number. Okay, so we've got our ILS in on number 1, Punta Gorda in on number 2, descent beginning. And folks, we have begun our descent into Punta Gorda. Okay, and I will be right back. Just a smidge. Okay, let's take a look outside the aircraft. We come in over Tampa St. Pete. Let's see how we're doing speed-wise. Looks like we're holding good. I think I know what I did wrong now on my climb. Shame on me. So, okay, so we're coming up here. Let me grab the METAR for the region. $30.16. If you don't mind. Okay. There we go. And 18,000 feet transition.
18,000 feet.
Okay, center tanks are off. Bank limits still set at 15. Cruise, oh, wait a minute. We're now waiting to go below 10,000 feet.
Ten 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet. Ten thousand feet.
Okay, folks, we're back with you, and we're about to start our final descent into Punta Gorda. Waiting for us to get about 10 to 20 miles out of Sabi, and then we can start our descent.
Ten thousand feet. 10,000 feet.
Okay, we got the lights on. Go ahead and get the floodlights back on, which are actually wing lights. Okay, and we are now beginning our descent. We're going to take it down to 5,000 watching this, but according to the mapping here, 2,000 feet. Yeah, 2,000 feet should be where we end up at. And again, remember, we're talking about a 20-mile difference between Sabi and Zepig. Okay. All right, folks, welcome aboard. Let's see here. We've had some questions here. Sure, let's get a look outside one more time. So we're coming down the Florida coast here to Fort Myers. We're going into Punta Gorda. Do you like the A220? Now, you're going to have to familiarize me with that one, Bob. Is that the A320 smaller version of it, or which one is that? Ooh. Let me see where we are. Let me do a quick Google on that. I've actually never seen this plane, so I don't really have a opinion either way on it there, Bob. I just happened to look it up. Kind of looks like a regional, souped up regional jet for Airbus. But it's made from Bombardier. Huh, interesting. Oh, wait a minute. Designed by Bombardier, manufactured by Airbus Canada. Interesting look. Yeah, looking at it, the closest I've seen is the A320s, but that's probably a bigger plane. And the A319 actually could be on par with it, passenger-wise. All right, let's see where we are here. We made the turn. Let's go ahead and continue down to 3. All right, so basically where we're at right now, I think we're crossing near Sarasota. We're heading to, well, actually, I think we crossed over Sarasota already. We're getting into the Fort Myers area of Florida. Now, Fort Myers International is south of us. We're going to be landing north of that River Bay area. An old, I guess, military field. Allegiant's been using a lot of, again, their goal, save money, cheaper ticket prices. Now, the A318 I've heard of, but I've never really, I don't really pay a lot of attention to the Airbuses. I am now, as I work with them. But yeah, they're an interesting beast, the Airbuses, and one of these days I'll probably get one and give it a try. Okay, so let's see what we're doing here. What in the heck? Okay. I think I need to do something. It's not doing what I want. Okay, so there it goes. That's what I needed to do. Okay. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just going to do an extended downwind here and come back to intercept. Final check of our frequencies, 109.7535. Okay, so all right, folks, we're at 3,000 feet. We're going to go ahead and begin to slow and turn back. Okay. And come down just a little bit. Okay, we got the localizer armed. Go ahead and give her a little bit tighter turn here. And as soon as
2,500.
get some flaps in. Had a bad feeling. All right, slowing to 160. Arm the spoilers. Arm the speed brakes, or I'm sorry, the auto brakes. Airport in sight. Autopilot off. Gear down. Runway in sight.
Gear down.
$1,000.
Okay. Still a little hot.
$500.
Okay.
$400.
On glide slope. Punta Gordo traffic.
300.
Mac Air 572. Final. Runway 4.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20. 10.
Oh, hell. Well, that really wasn't what I was expecting. Well, ran off the end of the runway. That was not good. Okay, something's going on here. What are we wound up for? Alright, now I'm fully confused. She is wound up. And I don't know why. That's really weird. Okay, well folks, you just watched something I wasn't expecting. For some reason the engine stayed at full throttle and I don't know why. Okay, I'll chalk it up to X-plane. Now that explains a lot of things, why we went off the end of the runway when we shouldn't have. Alright, well, I set the brakes. Yeah, I know how to go into replay mode. I'll do that when I get into the gate. Just really confused what I did wrong here. But anyway, let's get these checklists running. Flap 0. Oh yeah, we need to bring the flaps up. Yeah, the brakes were set. For some reason, they didn't set up. Transponder to off. APU to on. Again, we got to use the start pump. All right, so Alright, APU air, auto brakes are off, weather radar, exterior lights, nose lights on, taxi clearance obtained. We're taxiing in. Alright, real quick. Once we get to the gate, we'll run a replay of that landing and see what I forgot to set, because even the speed brakes are still extended. So, interesting arrival into Punta Gorda. Alright, so the only thing I can think that might have happened, but still should have came off, were the reversers not deploying. But even then, once I did the commands, it should have released the throttles. Oh well. The virtual NTSB will enjoy this. Alright, what gate do I want? Now, Bob, it did show the lights. Now, that's the only thing I can think, but the problem is it went into full thrust. I'm going to take the first spot over here. Whether it's number 1, oh, actually it's number 12. Let's see. We're going to take number 2. Okay, so we're in the blocks. Brakes are set. Let's do the shutdown checklist and securing. So shutdown is to here. All right, so we're doing the shutdown checklist. Nose light is off. Seatbelts off. Hydraulic pump off. Again, the rest of these switches may work and rotate. Don't know. APU is running. Fuel off. Anti-collision off. So let's make sure they're on the bus. PU air and running. Okay. Fuel. And they're both dialing back. Okay. Anti-collision off. Fuel pumps off. We'll leave a set on. And windshield ice off. Meter valve off. Airfoil ice flight directors are both off. Transponder mode off. Parking brake set. Shutdown checklist complete. And a couple more things we'll do. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, and the air stair is down. Again, for those of you curious, the DB Cooper switch is right about here on the outside. It's just a lever that goes across it so it won't go down. And anti-collision off. And let's see if we're right up with the stairs. Oh, we're pretty close. Alrighty. Okay, folks, we are in. Now, let's hop back in the cockpit here. Let me see what we did wrong. Replay. Yeah, no, it disconnects me from VATSIM. There we go.
Gear up. Gear down.
Okay, brakes. They were not set. I don't know if they show or not when you're in replay mode. The engine's just throttled up. That's what happened. The thrust reversers came out, but she throttled up for some strange reason. All right, folks. Well, now I'm really baffled. Will I ever get Microsoft 2020? Yes, I will. Hang on a second. Let me reconnect here. All right, so I'm back on VATSIM. Anyway, first off, looking back over the flight, Bob, for some reason, the aircraft went into full thrust just before landing. I have no idea why. Airspeed was set at 150. The auto throttle was on, but that is just, no, actually I had turned it off so I had control over it. So I have no idea what triggered that. Somehow either toga, which you hit from here, anyway, so that'll be a baffling mystery for quite some time. But as to your question about Microsoft, yes, I'll get it. Excuse me, I've got some cough drops in the mouth. Been coughing quite a bit here. I just want to keep things up and up so when I go back to work tomorrow, I'm not sick. I'm right now waiting on 2020 for PMDG to finally be able to release the 737. Once that's released and people are happy with it, then I can feel comfortable buying it. Till then, with what they did into the rushing of that product onto the market, I can't jump on it yet. They're long ways away. I know they've improved the Airbus. I read about that on the Discord channel for FedEx. But how poorly they modeled a lot of the aircraft, they got a long way to go for me. In the meantime, I will be continuing here on X-Plane. Worst case situation, I'll bring prepared over to this new computer and run on it. But until Microsoft pulls its head out of its proverbial butt and puts a product out there that's good for all pilots, not necessarily, I could care less if you could shoot at people. I know some people are upset at that they didn't include the military organizations. Well, Microsoft never did. I'm looking for good quality dynamics for the aircraft. Not default, because I know default are going to have problems, hence what we've been flying today. But they shouldn't be as horrible as I've watched a few videos from a few of the guys that I do follow. They're horrible. And but boy, that TBM and the other GA aircraft seem to be pretty decent. So their idea of beta testing was pretty crap to me. So, but anyway, that's my opinion. I'm sticking with it, and I'll get it eventually, I think. We'll have to wait and see how they progress, because Microsoft or PMDG takes that platform in Microsoft and elevates it using the SDK. That's how they're able to do what they're able to do in Prepared and FSX and beyond and back. They're able to take all of those little variables that we're not really aware of and exploit them. Where Microsoft just wants to put a hunk of junk on the market and make you pay a fistful of dollars that's only worth a penny. Oh, the scenery, don't get me wrong. Scenery is beautiful. Love it. Scenery isn't everything, though. That's the problem. Too many people look at the eye candy, not the meat and potatoes to it. So they got a ways to go to get me over there, but I'll be there probably eventually. Probably summertime-ish, maybe. And that's a maybe. We'll have to wait and see. They haven't even released, I haven't seen any dates of when the NGXU is going to release for Microsoft 20. So that's telling me there's a lot more wrong with it than may be right with it. So just my food for thought, whatever it's worth. Probably that penny I talked about might be overweighting the value of what I just said, but that's when I'll come over to it. But anyway, we thank you all for joining us here. We'll hop out here, and I forgot one thing that I forgot when we push back. People would like their bags. And we have shut down the aircraft. And folks, we thank you for flying with Mike today. Next flight will be Friday. And wait, not Friday. Correction, Saturday. Tomorrow's Friday. Wait a minute, what is tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow is Friday. Okay. These 24-hour shifts, folks, really play heck with my mind. So we'll be on Saturday going from Bangkok to Singapore, 2 or 3 hour flight in the 747. Look forward to seeing y'all there. And as always, thank you for flying with Mike, and y'all have a wonderful day. God bless, and we'll see you then.